I'd like to call the meeting, PZA meeting for July 17th, 2019 to order, please. Can we get a roll call, please?
Mr. Olthoff, Mr. Featherling,
Here.
Mr. Washington, Mr. Tholen, Ms. Polk,
Present.
Mr. Payton,
Present.
Ms. Peters, Ms. Dunbar, Mr. Kinzinger, Mr. Fairfield, Mr. Smith, Mr. Swanson, Mr. Dennell, Mr. Seroy.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. I don't have any notes for any public comment. I don't see anybody back there, so we're going to assume there will be nobody here for public comment. Next up will be the approval of minutes from May 22nd, 2019. All came by email. Everybody had a chance to look at them. Okay. Mr. Smith, is that a motion when your hand went up? And second by Mrs. Polk. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Next up will be the building report by Mr. Skimmerhorn here.
Turn me on.
Sure. Hey, what you doing? Oh.
All right, in your packets, you should have the building report for both May and June of 2019. The May report, we had 89 permits, which is down a little bit from that month, or May of 2018. We had 93 permits. But our total revenue for that month was $112,739, which is about triple last year's total for that month, which was $44,858. Most of that is attributed to a $94,000 permit to CSL Bearing for one of their projects. The June report, we have 105 total permits, 4 of those being new houses, for revenue of $32,286. That is up from last year for the month of June, which was 81 permits and $20,659 collected.
Thank you. Anything else, Albert?
Those need to be approved.
Okay, okay. You got a motion to combine the stormwater MS4 program
Nope.
discussion?
You need to approve the building report. Combine the building reports.
Okay. I got we get a motion to approve the building report. Okay. Mr. Swanson, the second. Mr. Payton? Voice vote, please. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you.
Aye.
Motion carries. Stormwater MS4 program discussion.
Just like every month, I'm required to ask if any of the members have any stormwater or clean water issues that they would like to bring to our attention.
Does anybody have any issues they'd like to bring up to Mr. Skimmerhorn? Okay, we don't have any, so we just go ahead to the next portion. Okay, the first zoning case today will be ZBA case 19-04 as a request for rezoning from R1 single family residential district and a C2 general commercial district to a A1 agricultural district on a parcel generally situated in section 17 of Laments Township. The petitions are Van Drunen Land Holdings LLC and Ceres Vincennes property owner and Kyle J. Veld applicant.
Okay. Kelly, can you switch over?
Switch you over. Oh, different drawings. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Delbert, we'll run a review here.
This is a request to rezone the property outlined in blue on the screen. Mr. Smith, it's the back screen back there. It's a 7.29 acre parcel, which is currently comprised of 2 parcels and a partial of a 3rd parcel. One of those properties is zoned C2 commercial and the remainder is zoned R1 single family residential. They would like to rezone it to A1 agriculture, which would be more consistent with the actual use of the property. This location is the machine repair and storage area for the Van Drunen Farms farming operation, and which the buildings currently sit on the red parcel, the C2 parcel. They have a parking area on just north of that, and their future plans are to expand into that yellow area for more storage facilities for their equipment. So zoning board heard this case on July 8th and voted 5-0 to recommend its approval. There were no objectors present.
Motion to approve.
Okay, Mr. Washington made a motion to approve. Could we get a second? Ms. Polk? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Featherling?
Yes.
Mr. Washington?
Aye.
Ms. Polk? Mr. Payton?
Aye.
Mr. Smith? Mr. Swanson?
Aye.
Mr. Seroy?
Aye.
Motion carries.
That's all right. Okay, next case would be ZBA case 19-07 as a request for variances to section 121-286, access to road, and 121-99 lot width in the A1 agricultural district on a parcel generally situated in section 33 of Rockville Township. The petitioners are David Africano, property owner, and Nicholas Africano, applicant.
Okay,
Delbert?
This is a 2-acre parcel located in Rockville Township. It's outlined in red on the map up there. Mr. David Africano owns the property and is in the process of selling it because of some medical issues. And when he came into, they have a buyer for it, and when they came in to check the zoning on the property, that's when we realized that he had some issues because it sits on an easement. The property was created in 1985, long before Mr. Africano purchased the property. The 2 variances that they're asking for is one, for lot width. The property does not have the required 250 feet of lot width that it should have had in 1985 when it was created. And it does not have individual access to a public road as it sits along an easement. Those are the 2 variances being requested here. The Zoning Board of Appeals heard this case on July 8th and voted 5-0 to recommend approval. There were no objectors.
Okay, thank you, Delbert. Mr. Payton, motion to approve. Get a second, please. Ms. Payton, or Ms. Polk, I mean, sorry. Get a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Featherling?
Yes.
Mr. Washington?
Aye.
Ms. Polk?
Aye.
Mr. Payton?
Aye.
Mr. Smith? Mr. Swanson? Mr. Seroy?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next up would be ZBA case 19-08 as a request for rezoning from A1 Agricultural District to RE Rural Estate District on a parcel generally situated in section 24 of Salina Township. The petitioners are Irma Jean Berghaus Estate and property owner Jill Berghaus Grant, applicant. Delbert?
Yes. As the chairman stated, this is a request to rezone this property from A1 Agricultural to RE Rural Estate. Currently, there is a 11.2 acre parcel, which is the larger parcel outlined in red up there. And in that northeast corner is a 0.49 acre parcel that contains a home. Ms. Grant is in the process of trying to sell that home, and the 0.49 acres is barely enough ground to fit the house. It does not meet setbacks. The garage for the house is on the larger parcel. So they would like to increase the lot size of that parcel to 2 acres, which will reduce the larger parcel to 9.7 acres. And the reason they're rezoning the larger parcel is because currently it is a legal non-conforming parcel and eligible for a home. When they take the property away from it to give to the house, it would no longer allow that parcel to be eligible for a home. So they're rezoning both parcels. So the net result is they can have 2 houses there now. After the rezoning, they would still be able to have 2 houses. Without the rezoning, they could still do the addition to the parcel with the home on it, but the other parcel would not be eligible for a house any longer.
Okay.
Zoning Board reviewed this case on July 15th and voted 6-0 to recommend the rezoning, and there were no objectors present.
Okay, thank you, Delbert. I got motion, Mr. Swanson. Okay.
This, for case 1908, this is my sister-in-law. Do I need to abstain from the vote, or can I vote?
Yeah, do you profit from this
No.
vote zoning change? Then I would
Wasn't
say
even
it's,
aware of it. Wasn't even
I
aware
would
of
say
it
it's
until
okay
today.
for you to vote, as long as you let us know ahead of time.
Okay.
Anybody have any problems with that? No? Okay, let's go ahead. Thank you. Was that well, somebody else want to make the motion then? Okay, Mr. Seroy, Ms. Pope, second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Featherling? Mr. Washington?
Aye.
Ms. Polk? Mr. Payton? Mr. Smith? Mr. Swanson?
Aye.
Mr. Seroy?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Okay, next up is transportation, and the transportation grant agreement between IDOT and Kankakee County FY 2020.
I will turn this over to Ben or
Okay, Ben, are you
Jeffrey.
coming? Oh,
Jeffrey.
Jeffrey. Good morning.
Real quick this morning, everybody should have a copy of the grant agreement that we get every year like this. This is for our transportation planning program that we do. This year is a little bit different than in the past. We've got a total grant amount of $316,946, so it's a slight increase over last year. But the difference is that IDOT's made a couple changes with how it's going to be administered to us. The first part is that the federal funding portion is only going to be from Federal Highway Administration instead of Federal Highways and Federal Transit. The grant amount stayed the same. They're just doing some internal changes with how they're flowing the funds. The other portion is that in the past, the county's always provided a 20% local match. And this year, IDOT is making state funds available to us for that. So the county does not have to provide the 20% match as it historically does. But we've always said if those funding mechanisms disappeared, that the county, as historically has, would provide the 20% match in that case. The 20% match is typically about, in this year, $63,000.
Any questions for Jeff while he's sitting here? Mr. Ray? Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jeff, so they're waiving the matching, they're waiving the 20%, or do we have to apply for another grant for the 20%?
It's all rolled in as one grant.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So in the agreement, you'll see the total amount is the $316,946, and of that, 253,557 is federal. The other portion is state.
Gotcha. Thanks for explaining that for me. Thank you. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Barring none. That's where I was
Yes.
just going. Yeah, I got that down here. We need a roll call too, because we're spending money, I guess. Get a motion to approve the transportation. Okay, Mr. Swanson, Mr. Smith, second. We're gonna roll call this one too.
Mr. Featherling? Mr. Washington?
Aye.
Excuse me. Ms. Polk? Mr. Payton? Mr. Smith? Mr. Swanson? Mr. Seroy?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next up, we have old business. Is there any old business that we need to discuss? Delbert, do you have anything for us to discuss? We have nothing, okay. We're gonna go ahead to the next, would be new business. You wanna talk about these, or you want me to read them? Delbert?
We have two openings on the Kankakee County Regional Planning Commission, so if you know anyone who's interested.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Sorry, Del.
Excuse me. We have two openings on the Kankakee County Regional Planning Commission, so if you have anybody who's interested, they can get applications for that in the administration office. And we have one opening on the Kankakee County Historic Preservation Commission, but that position must be an architect. They can also apply at the administration office.
Okay. Thank you, Del. Mr. Seroy.
Thank you. Delbert, is there any special qualifications for the Regional Planning Commission? Are you looking for any?
No, there's no prerequisites.
No
For that. They must live in the county.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Bill?
George, you got a question?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Washington, go ahead.
There any, particular areas that aren't being served by anyone right now?
I would have to look into that, George. I don't know exactly where all of our members are. There's 15 members. We have a total of 17, but we're missing 2.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I would be,
Yeah,
concerned about.
we do like to spread it out so we get good coverage
Yeah.
throughout the county, but that's really it, yeah.
Okay, hey,
Check
that's
into it
up.
and let us know.
Okay, Delbert, I had a quick question. Can that be anybody from the county board? Obviously, no.
We have 2 members from the county board on there, and our rules of procedure limits county board involvement to 2 members.
Okay,
George is one of those members.
okay. That answers my question. Thank you. Okay, we'll keep those in mind. How about the Kankakee Historical Preservation Commission? How many positions were open there again, Del?
Just one. and
Just
for an
one?
architect.
Okay. So anybody knows an architect, we're looking for one for that. Okay? Okay, I guess this is it. A motion to adjourn. Okay, Mr. Payton, second. Mr. Seroy. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you.
Aye.
That's the first.